From the silent depths of space, a transmission was born. It traveled through dark waves of the cosmos, battered and broken, until it reached the outer sensors of the Terran network orbiting Titan. The signal carried pain, fear, and desperation. The voice within it did not speak words of command or diplomacy. It was a plea, a cry for mercy. The sender was the Arothai Confederation, a peaceful race known across the galaxy for their cities of crystal light and songs of harmony. They were scientists and dreamers, builders of wonder, not soldiers. But now, their light was dying. An unknown force had entered their worlds, leaving behind ash and silence. The message contained fragments of horror, burning colonies, dark ships blotting out the stars, the screams of children echoing in the void. The Galactic Council received the call. They debated, argued, and reasoned. They always did. Words flowed like rivers, but no action followed. The Council had long forgotten what courage meant. They feared losses, they feared blame, they feared headlines more than extinction. So, the Arothai burned. Then the message reached Earth. Humanity had never been part of the Council. They had been invited once, centuries ago, and laughed at the offer. To them, the Council was a gallery of cowards wrapped in ceremony. Humans had seen too much of war, too much of pain, to waste time in endless talk. When the signal played in a Terran command post, the room went cold. The voice of an Arothai mother begged for her child, her last words drowned in static. For a moment, there was only silence. Then Admiral Reyes stood from his chair and said a single word. Move. And humanity moved. Within hours, the Earth Federation activated its fleets. Mars shipyards lit up like twin suns, assembling destroyers and carriers. Lunar bases loaded missiles and drones by the thousands. Every Terran colony, every orbital fortress, every soldier knew what the signal meant. It was not a request. It was a reminder of what it felt like to be alone, forgotten, abandoned by those who claimed to care. Humanity did not wait for approval. They did not ask for permission. Because when a call for aid goes out and no one answers, humanity does not sit and talk. They rise. And this time, they rose in fury. The human fleets emerged from the jump lanes like a storm of steel and fire. Hundreds of ships, their hulls scarred from old wars, their banners burning bright against the dark. They came with no fanfare, no speeches, no politics, only purpose. The first Arothai planet they reached was already dying. Cities of crystal lay shattered. Oceans boiled under orbital bombardment. And the night sky burned red from falling debris. The enemy ships hovered above, sleek and black, moving with unnatural precision. They did not respond to hails or warnings. They simply killed. The humans did not speak either. They acted. Admiral Reyes gave one command, calm and cold. Engage. Then the void itself roared. Human cruisers unleashed their fury. Railguns firing slugs the size of houses. Each strike turning enemy vessels into glowing wrecks. Carriers launched fighter swarms. Thousands of small crafts diving into battle with reckless courage. For every ship that fell, 2 more took its place. The sky became a storm of fire and defiance. The alien invaders fought with precision, their technology sharp and strange. But they had never faced humanity before. They did not understand how humans fought, not for territory, not for pride, but for vengeance. When an enemy weapon tore through the destroyer-vigilant dawn, the surviving crew turned their ship into a missile, ramming straight into the heart of the alien flagship. The explosion lit the planet like a second sun. Even the Arothai survivors watching from the surface whispered a single word in disbelief: humans. Across the sector, battle after battle erupted. The invaders were relentless, but humanity was worse. They had been underestimated for centuries, seen as a young and reckless species. But every scar, every war, every drop of blood had forged something the galaxy had forgotten. Fury with purpose. Within days, entire systems were liberated. Human ships patrolled the ruins, pulling Arothai survivors from the wreckage, treating them as their own. Soldiers shared rations with alien children, medics worked without rest, and the once dying race began to breathe again. The Council watched in silence, shamed by their inaction. Worlds that had ignored the call for help now broadcasted human victories. With awe and disbelief, The Terran Federation had not asked for glory, but the galaxy saw what they had become, a species that would burn the stars themselves to defend the innocent. And the war was not over. The enemy still remained, regrouping in the dark. Humanity prepared for what came next, because once they had answered the call, they would not stop until the silence screamed no more. The war dragged on for weeks, then months. The invaders fought with inhuman discipline, but humanity fought with something no machine or code could ever match: rage. With a heart behind it. Every fallen colony became a rallying cry. Every destroyed ship another reason to fight harder. The Orothai had begun to stand again, under the protection of Terran fleets. Their engineers rebuilt the broken cities, guided by human hands and human stubbornness. For the first time in their history, the Orothai learned war, not from hatred, but from survival. And standing beside them, teaching, guarding, fighting, were humans. Admiral Reyes led from the front. He slept in his chair between battles, his eyes hollow but burning. He had lost family in the first invasion wave, but he spoke of it only once. His words spread through every channel of the fleet. They screamed for help. We answered. Now we make sure no one ever has to scream again. And so they did. The final battle came near the dying star of Aroth, Prime. The enemy fleet gathered there, vast and silent, like a wall of death. Their ships were larger, stronger, faster, but humanity had learned them. The Terrans came in waves, each attack breaking through like fire through glass. When the human flagship Eternal Resolve rammed the enemy command vessel, the explosion tore across the void. Half the system burned, and the light could be seen from a dozen worlds. Out of that chaos, the enemy broke. Their formation shattered, their silence ended. They fled, vanishing into the dark from where they came. When the fires dimmed, only fragments remained, a ruined battlefield, a scorched sky, and countless silent wrecks drifting in the light of a dying sun. The Orothai knelt on the soil of their reborn world. Around them stood the soldiers of Earth, armor scarred, faces weary, weapons lowered. No words were needed. The Orothai bowed their heads in gratitude, and humanity simply nodded. They had not come for praise. They had come because someone needed them. Later, when the council gathered once more, they spoke in hushed tones of the Terrans. They spoke of the fire that had burned through the void, the fury that had answered a call no one else dared to hear. And somewhere, far across the stars, humanity rebuilt its ships once again. Not to conquer, not to rule, but to be ready. Because when another call for aid would go out, humanity would rise once more, and the galaxy would remember the day humans responded in fury.